At the beginning of this course I mentioned how a numbers document can contain multiple sheets and each sheet can contain multiple tables. But up until now we've just used one table in one sheet in every document. Using multiple tables is one of the greatest features of numbers, and it's one of the things that differentiates it from other spreadsheet apps like Excel. So let's look at what you can do with multiple tables. Here we have a regular table, just one table here, and we can put a bunch of numbers in here. And let's say we wanted to add two of these numbers together. I'll use equals. I'll click on this cell plus this cell and I get the addition of those two. Now what happens if I were to add another table in here? So I'm going to hit the table button here at the top. Choose a table to add. I'm going to add a really plain regular table there. And you can see it appears underneath. I'm going to shrink it down a bit. So it's pretty small. And I'm going to use the handle here on the upper left to drag it and actually put it next to this table here. So now we can see both tables side by side. And they are two separate tables. Let's say I wanted to perform that same function we did here, but I wanted to do it in the second table. I can do equals and I can click a cell in another table. And you can see it'll put the name of the table colon and the cell. So it'll say B2 but not B2 of my own table here, but B2 of this other table. And then add B3 of that same table. And I'll get the same result here. Just that the cell in this table is referring to the cells in this other table. And you could even mix and match. So for instance I could put a number here and a formula here that is B2 in this table plus B2 in this table. And now it's going to give me the sum there. So you could have formulas that include cell references in the same table, formulas that include cell references in separate tables, and in fact we can add another sheet here. And here we have in this sheet, let's put a number here. We could go ahead and create another formula here and we could add this number plus this number plus, and then we could switch to sheet 2 and notice the formula entry element here stays even though we've changed sheets, and you can still see reference B2 and then in my table B3. And I can click here and add a reference to sheet 2 table 1 B2. And I can hit the check mark there and you can see it's actually going to add this cell plus this cell and also the cell here on sheet 2. So you can go across to different tables and formulas. You can go across in different sheets as well, making it very powerful to use multiple tables and sheets and have formulas that don't really care where the cells are coming from. Now you can get really creative with this. You remember in our last lesson we had a count formula that counted the number of times apple appeared. And so let's do that here. And if we were going to put the count formula here, we could do it. We could also do it here. And we could say equals count if, and say column B is apple. And we get 6. Now what if instead of that we put the word apple here and we put the formula here, count if, and we say count everything in column B and see if it equals the value there. Now if I hit return it gives us that same number 6. It's comparing all the values in here with this value. So if here I put orange and I copy this formula and paste it here, I get 1. This changes to, since I'm going down one row, to refer to A2 rather than A1, but it's still referring to column B over here. So I could actually check for the number of apples, I can check for the number of oranges, I can check for the number of bananas, which are going to be 0, but if I change this or add 1, you could see it keeps account. So that is really where it becomes powerful to use multiple tables, as you can see, because I can have this table that does the counts of everything that's over there, or at least everything I'm interested in, Whereas trying to count each one of those things and putting it below would be a little more difficult. So you can use multiple tables for this kind of purpose and for lots of other kind of purposes. We're going to look at some examples in the remainder of this course of using multiple tables in different ways.